Hello, hello, welcome to Mindset to Results. Today, our guest is Andrew Miller. He is founder of Business Enjoyment, and our talk will be about success. And the topic is more than money. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Elena. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Looking forward to the conversation.
You're most welcome. I just watched your TEDx talk and was really impressed with what you shared, and it really causes people to think and starting question, do they really live the life of their purpose? Do you really enjoy every day? Because I am totally agree that people should wake up every morning and be excited and knowing that they are doing something important that is aligned with their goals, also with their being, with their essence, who they are, and every day they can develop those talents and gifts which they are given. So today it is so good to have you here and hear from you more and share please about your story. How did you realize what you want to do in life and how time is precious for you, and how did you turn being successful from outside and totally like frustrated and broken inside, and now how you thrive and help other people to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, it's always best to sort of start from the beginning in these sort of situations. Well, not the very beginning. I don't remember most of those years, but fundamentally, in my corporate life, I was an accountant, and that's always a good starter for any conversation. But it was a very specific form of accountancy that I did. It was insolvency. I was an insolvency practitioner. And depending on where your audience are listening from, people have different relationships with that and familiarity with it. In the UK and Commonwealth countries, we have a specific way that insolvency works. And basically, it's if you take out a mortgage on your house, for example, and don't pay your mortgage, then the bank repossesses the house. We're familiar with that concept. And that's the same with businesses. Businesses borrow money from banks. If they can't repay their debenture, their loan, the bank effectively takes control of the company. They don't. They appoint a firm of accountants, us, the insolvency practitioners, to run that business. So my job was running businesses for the best part of 17 years. It was KPMG I worked for. And so I work with all sorts of industries and business you can possibly think of, from around bingo halls, shopping centres, oil rigs, you name it. And the objective is to keep that business together, keep it going, keep it trading, and hopefully to sell it and save all the jobs and keep it intact as possible, which actually we're quite successful at doing. Most of the businesses I got we managed to sell with very few redundancies. However, what was so all the skills of running a business, but I'm working alongside these directors who are watching everything that they have create collapse in front of their eyes. They put all their money, all their time, all their investment into building this business. A lot of the cases, okay, sometimes there's some, boards and corporates, but a lot of time we're dealing with someone who's set this business up or a family business, and all their emotional investment is in this business. And it's like the loss of a family member, a child, a partner, whatever it is. It's a grieving process. And what a lot of people misunderstand about insolvency is there's the media and that sort of thing will portray business owners that go through failure as corrupt, they've stolen all the money themselves, or incompetent. That's actually very rare. They do exist for sure, but in most cases, the business owner is someone who's trying to do their best, puts all their money and all their resources into this thing, pay off all the employees and suppliers first and themselves last, and then they get all the blame and the issues on that come with it. And and actually, when I shifted into coaching and mentoring and supporting and that sort of thing, I started off with a very specific niche in helping people going through financial difficulty deal with the emotional stress that goes with that. Because as you can imagine, it's quite intense, and not ridiculous for people to fall into depression, even suicide. Now, over time, I started working with other business owners at other stages, at other levels, and my TEDx talk sort of goes into this a bit more, touches a bit more. But bottom line was, we had this situation where I was working with these people who'd lost everything. and we can understand, hopefully quite sensibly, why they are incredibly stressed and under pressure. But then I'm working with people who are, well, they're doing all right, they're doing okay. They're keeping food on the table, they're keeping a business that's going away, but they were still stressed, they were still unhappy, still feeling lonely. And then I'm meeting people who are really successful, millionaires and that sort of thing, and working with them, meeting them, whatever it might be. And I'm meeting all these people who are incredibly successful, and they're also unhappy, stressed, feeling lonely. And you go, hang on, these guys they've got an excuse. What's your excuse? And that's where I realized that business success does not automatically mean happiness or enjoyment. And for me, when you run your own business and you can create whatever it is you want to create, why create something that causes you stress? And yet we all do, broad brush. But from there comes, that's the foundation of business enjoyment. It's like we need to relook at how we're actually doing this. We need to look at how we approach business, because as you said in the start, it's about more than just money. We're forgetting all the other bits that go around it. So as a nutshell, quick intro, I can go into more detail about my personal story, or wherever you decide where you would like me to go into a bit more detail, but that's in a nutshell the sort of the where business enjoyment came from and what its motion is.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing from your experience. So let's discuss the root of unhappiness. Why this is the situation? Why people think that they will be happy only when, right? And then never comes, because most of entrepreneurs, why people start business, because I think one of the features is that they believe that they can do more. They don't want to be average. They understand that they can do better, more, become more better.
Mm,
And they have on the other side, it can be that hyperachiever in them, saboteur, who tells them that you have to do more every time. You have to do more, and you will be happy only when you achieve certain success. And when they achieve something, what they set the plan, they just feel happy a couple of days, and then again the same saboteur cell that no, that is not enough. You have to achieve that. You look at as that one do it. If you get there, then you will be happy, and this never ends, right? So let's speak about this,
yeah.
about attitude to success. As you mentioned, that it doesn't matter how much you make, because another saying is that every level has its own devil. Yeah, so it's not about how much people make, because the level of expenses and lifestyle also goes up. So if you are not happy with small, what you do in one level, if you don't change the attitude, you will not be happy, even if you think that you will be happy now. But when you get there, you will not be happy, because this is the attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's I can go in lots of directions there. So, there's lots of reasons why people create businesses that don't work for them in the first instance. So let's just address that. And a lot of that becomes most people who set up their own business, it's either because they've been working for someone else and they can think they can do it better, and they don't like working for someone else, so they think I want to be my own boss. And in that situation, what they tend to do is and we've all done it, we all we know is the business we've been involved in, so we end up bringing across all the bad habits that we've learned in that business, so we end up creating the same problems in our own business. And if we were short of time and stressed in this situation, we end up creating the same pattern because that's what we're familiar with. Alternatively, people just create their business, maybe I say from family or from their own inspiration, but then it's bringing forth any patterns or beliefs or whatever driver they've had as a child or society has created around them, and that gets mixed together with the others as well. So it might be there's a certain attitude or a certain belief that comes through, and society as a whole has led the myth that to be successful you've got to make money. Rich equals success. They are the two things. There's power and fame and all that sort of stuff gets wrapped up in the concept of rich. But we are led the lie that success equals making money at the end of the day. And when we follow that path, then we forget these other things, and traps come in. And what I've noticed is that essentially there are three key drivers that sort of force us forward. And these are things that we can, you know what it's like. There are some things that we're scared of, and we move away from fear, and or we can have a positive thing and move towards something in order to achieve something. So it can work on both dynamics. So, but either we are scared of not having enough, we are scared of not being enough, or we're scared of not being accepted. So those are the three drivers. So if we are scared that we're not going to have enough, and that also includes fear of losing what we've got, of course, then we're always looking for more money, more resources, more on top of more. And it doesn't matter how much money you actually make, all that actually does is increase the fear of losing what you've already got and require the demand to make even more. Fear of not being enough is that we need to. There's normally something in there about a parent not giving value to the self or whatever it might be. There'll be some childhood thing, but ultimately it's looking to do well enough so that daddy pats you on the head and says, "Well done, you're a good boy. You've done well," kind of thing, which will never happen. So we're always that sort of person is always striving for some sort of recognition, some sort of value, probably from someone that they will never get it from. So again, never ends, never ends, never ends. And then being accepted, fear of rejection, all that kind of thing. It's usually falls into the trap of doing stuff that makes everybody else happy, so that, please like me. And it will give the trappings of success because they've done lots of stuff for other people and everyone talks well about them, but they're never actually looking after themselves in that process and put themselves last. So you have these three different situations, these key drivers that can end up giving the apparel of success, but inside that person is never happy, never actually getting to a point where they go, ah, I love my life.
Mhm. Yes, I'm totally agree. There are different saboteurs, programs which are written in subconscious mind, and these saboteurs use the strength. People have strength. Usually, it is come from childhood, and these
Mm.
programs overuse and abuse that strength, and then it becomes negative.
And,
It,
and and as you say, because of that strength, we have evidence to prove it works, because that away from motivation is very powerful. We say it's a saboteur, but it's a switch thing, isn't it? For like 50% of the time it works in our favor, and then 50% of the time it actually sort of causes the problem. So it's tricky because it looks like it's creating the right results, but actually there's a hidden bomb or
Right.
hidden trick
Yes.
we don't
Yes.
see.
Uh, these saboteurs, they have lies, but these lies, they are because we repeat these lies all over again since childhood, and this is how we think that it is logical. It is
Hmm.
logical, but it is not right because you can still have that strength, but you can use that strength without negative impact of those saboteurs. You can
Absolutely.
use that strength, but in positive and sage, creative state. Yes, and this is why it happens that these programs are so much in people's subconscious mind, like stick to their identity, and people live life and they think that this is me. They identify those saboteurs like together with their identity and think this is me. But when they start really going deeper and when they start identify that it is not you, this is that program, and when you can separate that program and know that the same voice is speaking to you again and again, the same thoughts, the same ideas, the same reactions, and when you start identifying what is this like saboteur telling me, oh, this is not me, this is saboteur. Okay, now I want to separate you, what I want to do in this situation. And this is how we can really get control over life. Otherwise, You can just look at people. Most people are working like in hypnotic state, totally controlled by those programs which were written in their childhood,
Mm.
and many also we inherit from our ancestors, and we make decisions which we don't even know who made decision in how many years ago, like in which generation, for that what we do today. And that is
Absolutely.
yeah, that is so important to have coaches, mentors, to work with somebody like with you. Yes, like really people who can identify what the program is on autopilot in you. Yes, because you can always see it outside, but people who is within and have the same identity together with this program never can see that, because it is
Mm.
just reality, and this is what forms their perception about themselves and about everything else.
Mm. And and again, the saboteurs are clever the because we think that's how I am and this is how success is achieved, then if we were to change anything, if we were to do something different, then we're going to get different results. It's not going to work. And that's the saboteur voice that you were talking about. But as you say, all the skills and the ability and the resources are there. It's just the focus of the drive that needs to change. So it's like you've got the rocket. What sort of fuel are you using? Are you using fuel that's going to be create negative energy, or have you got a fuel that's going to create positive energy? And the actual skills and abilities you've got don't change. It's just how you create the drive.
Yes, yes, totally right. Yes. Let's speak generally in this perception that people have to work to pay the bills. But if people say that I want to do something that I really love to do, it looks weird. Like people say like, oh, how I want to do this? Are you going to pay the bills? Can you dream just really be that something that you can make for living? It's like it is very different perspective, as you mentioned in society, that to be successful people have to work, yes, to generate income, and then they can do what they like to do just for hobbies. Or people think, oh, when I have time I will do what I like to do, and it also never happens. And this is why so many people get degrees that they don't like, and then because they got those degrees they start working doing what they don't like, and then they think that, oh, I already invested money, or I already so many years, and this is like all their life just going past, and they never enjoy. Yes, because they think that enjoyment is something different, and they
Mm.
don't even think that you can wake up and enjoy by doing work and being in your that genius strength, do what you love
Mm.
to do, and provide and even get more than if you would doing something that you don't like.
Yeah, and I would just create a little distinction, which if I don't know whether people get a link to the TEDx talk, but I'll give you one when they can grab a copy of the book as well, which I think you referred to. It goes into a bit more detail in there, but I create a distinction between enjoyment and happiness, and happiness is something that's very much in the moment. It's a now thing. I'm either happy or I am sad, and something can then happen which could change how I feel in that particular moment. Whereas enjoyment for me is an overarching situation. So we're moving towards something. So we can be enjoying life, and we can still have bad days because it's life, but we're going to have more happy days. So the analogy I use is that happiness is like the weather, enjoyment is like the climate. So in a warmer climate, you're going to have more sunny days. Doesn't mean it can't rain. But that's the distinction I use between enjoyment and happiness. And enjoyment is a combination of taking control of these fears and pushing them to one side. Well, not pushing to one side, but resolving them so we're not being trapped by them, which I'll come back to in a minute, because that's the key thing. And then stepping into purpose. So as you alluded to before, when we are taking all our skills and abilities and doing it in a way that makes a difference, that has resonates with us, that creates an extra level of enjoyment, because we are not just doing something for our own benefit, we're also doing something for benefit to someone else, but it has to resonate. So I'll just go back to that trap thing, and what you're alluding to there is what we there's no one answer for everything. You know, what should people do? Should they just follow their passion? Should they go for money? Should they do this? Whatever it is. There's no one listening to this that I can tell definitively what they should do, because it's going to be specific to the individual. The critical thing is not to be trapped by any one particular route. So there will be some people where they need to do some whatever they need to do just to get enough money to pay for the food. If you need to go and work in a shop just to get some cash in your pocket, go do that, or whatever it is, to buy you time to do something that you're passionate about. If you're able to cope with it and just go all in on just the passion project, and it's not going to impact you on a financial level, go for it, you know. But it's about, and also, if you go down a route, don't be afraid to shift and change. You're not stuck with what you've committed to. You're not trapped by what you've created. So it's that ability to flex and move and try different things and find a path that works for you, rather than saying, this is what I have to do and this is all that I can do. And that's the big shift.
Yes, yes, so true. Tell me, please, about your experience of how intuition helped you to change your path from being in corporate and then starting your own business.
Our intuition.
Yes.
Yes. Well, the I had an aha moment, as they would call it. And it was I was at a event, a corporate event. We'd been promoted, and we had this thing that was being done for all the new senior managers, and we were doing all these sort of team building exercises, and well, who were sailing yachts around Portsmouth Harbour and things like that. We had someone come in who was, I didn't know what coaching was at the time. I now, in retrospect, realised he was a coach. And he had us do this exercise where we had to, and people will probably have done this, you write down what your own personal values are.
Mm-hmm.
And then you will write down another bit of paper, the values of the firm that you work for, and not the values that are just plastered on the wall, the ones that you actually see and the behaviors that actually happen. And the objective of the exercise was try and match them up as get them closer together so that you could align yourself with the firm that you're in and be more effective. I wrote down my list of values. I wrote down the list of values of the firm, held them together, and I thought, you'd think there'd be at least one that would overlap. And I suddenly had this realization of, oh yeah, I don't actually enjoy working. I've been here for 13 odd years or whatever. I've just been doing the stuff because you have to do a job and it earns money. But I didn't actually enjoy it. And there were times, there were good bits in it, and I can put ticks against it. But as a general rule, it wasn't giving me the fulfillment. So that made me start looking for other things. And eventually, through various things and being team leadership and all the stuff that goes with it, I ended up finding about coaching, getting more into coaching, and shifted into that space. What I discovered when I stepped into running my own business was there was no longer the protection of the company. It was me. I was the one that was doing the selling. I was the one that was doing the marketing. Everything was on me. And suddenly it brought up all these own internal fears and patterns and saboteurs that I didn't even know existed before, because they were hidden. And for a while, I just sort of tolerated them. And then as I became more aware of there's different ways of being, different ways of doing all the stuff that you talk about, it's like, there's changes I need to make. So an example, I couldn't phone someone that was not expecting my call. So cold calling, definitely not an option. Even phoning somebody I knew well, if they were not expecting my call, I couldn't pick the phone. I would stare at the phone and just physically would not be able to pick up the phone. If I'd arranged a time, if I'd emailed them in advance or something and say, I'll call you at 2 o'clock, I could do that. And it would literally be 1:59, 58, 59, 2 minutes, 2 o'clock, click. Not a second before, not a second after. And hidden beneath that was this fear of rejection. That was the main drive. And I've worked with a number of different people to unlayer this. This took a number of years to actually work out what was going on. But initially we had fear of rejection. but that manifested itself through a fear of interrupting people, stuff that happened as a child, stuff that I'd got into trouble for and got shouted at as a kid, etc., etc. So if I interrupted somebody, they would be unhappy, they would be angry at me, and then I'd feel rejected. And the process would go like that. So there's no way I could ring someone that wasn't expecting my call because it would take them out of their day, blah, blah, blah. Again, this is just example one factor in how it was playing out, but it was playing out in all sorts of areas. So I was being a typical people pleaser and doing too much and not getting paid enough and all the usual sort of things. And I did a load of work in terms of finding where that came from. And there was a period when I was we moved schools. So I used to live down near your area of the country, but we moved further north. And I went into a new school and was instantly rejected. And I spent a couple of years not being accepted, not physically bullied because I was always a reason. I played rugby and I wasn't intimidated, but psychological torture, should we say, having your locker wrecked and people ignoring me and deliberately going out their way to insult me, etc., etc. So I had this huge fear of rejection, and so we did a lot of work on that, which made a massive difference. But there was still residual stuff. And then later on, I realized that when I moved to that school and was rejected, I was already the person that was going to be rejected when I turned up at that school. So whilst I did a lot of work around the actual traumatic event for me, the pattern had been created earlier. And so I had to go back even further. And it's one of those things that isn't actually a big event. It was a big event for me, but it was something that happened when I was 4 years old. And it was just the fact that something happened and had my parents laughing at me, and I felt, tiny thing in the scheme of things, but it started a pattern that built, and all of that had to be unpicked. So I'm going through all these processes, learning all these things. So at the same time as I'm seeing what's happening around in the business thing, I'm working on myself at the same stage. As I'm working on stuff, I'm working with other people on their issues. So I help me, I help others. And that is how I sort of shaped and formed where I got to, because actually ultimately, and this is a message for most people, certainly in the helping industry, is we help people like us. So by helping other people, but by going through our own journey, we help other people go through their own journey. And the more we recognize other people in our situation, that's tend to where we get close to on our purpose sort of side of things as well. Little hint there, but yeah.
Yes, it is so true that things which happens in the childhood, and it is so painful to understand that the most important people in life, like parents, who have to be supporting, who have to really create that confidence in child. In so many cases, they become the cause of so many programs which will negatively impact people all their lives
Yeah,
till.
and that's not to blame parents, because they're doing their best and they don't know. And even if you do know, it's I mean, if we take abandonment as an example, everyone's going to experience it to some level. So there's a point where you're born and you're the center of the universe in that family, and there's a point later on when you're not living in that family. Somewhere along the line, there has to be a break or a separation. And it can be done in different ways to different degrees, but there has to be some form of breakage for it to happen. So we've all experienced some abandonment issue at a level, and some will be tiny and some will be large, or whatever it is. So it doesn't matter, talking to parents here. Don't put yourself under pressure to be out, oh my god, I'm going to get it absolutely wrong, because yeah, probably all parents are going to, there's no perfect parent out there. And then society throws its bits in, and kids at school throw their bits in as well. So even if we do get the perfect parent, other things are going to cause those issues to crop up anyway. Part of the human condition, part of life, is shifting away from taking on board things that we've learned and twisting it into things that we can use with our choice.
Yes, this is very important what you just said. And there is interesting statistics, and this statistics it doesn't change. if you read the book of Napoleon Hill, which was written 100 years ago, it is called Outwitting the Devil. It is not a book which
Mm.
people know.
Yes,
People
it was
know.
his follow-up, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Think and Grow Rich is very famous, but
Mm.
Devil is another book which is like one of my favorites. And in that book, Napoleon said interesting statistics that 2% of people think, 3% of people think that they think, and 95% of people would rather die than think. So, yeah, so what you just said about, yes, yes, this is identifying yourself that you are not that programs which were put by
Mm,
society or parents or babysitter, whatever, identifying yourself as separate person and identifying those programs and replacing them with new
mm,
beliefs, with new habits and your identity. This is category of people who think, and this is only 2%. It was
mm.
2% 100 years ago. Maybe now it is even less. I
Yeah.
think.
Well,
Oh,
and it's been backed up with the our lack of control on what we do because of those subconscious patterns. It's been seen in scientific studies, so MRI studies and things like that, and you can put somebody into MRI chamber and study the brain and see how the brain patterns move, and asking a question to which a decision response, tea or coffee, tea please, something simple like that as a starting point. But you can see you can see when the brain has made its mind up as to what route it's going down, and then they will press a button when they think they've made the mind up, and the gap between the brain having decided and the person thinking that they've decided can be as much as 10 seconds. So the person will be going, oh, I don't know, shall I have tea or coffee? Blah, 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 trying to run. They've already made their mind up. They just don't know it yet. Um, and 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 that's we are, that's part of our natural instincts and the way we need to function in terms of some of the stuff. That's the power of the subconscious brain. But when you become aware of it, then you realize that you don't actually need to act on the thoughts, the initial stops. You can take a moment, reconsider, and buy yourself more time and actually come up with a different way of being and a different result. Actually, I know I thought tea, but I'm not going to have any tea or coffee today. I'll have water, thank you very much, because it's healthier, or whatever it might be. But yeah, um, absolutely backed up by science.
yes, yes, it is interesting to know when we understand human behavior and potential success. It is very like numbers and statistics shows that unfortunately people don't live at their potential at all. They just use like 2-3% of what they can do, and it is like sitting in the car like Ferrari or Lamborghini and having the stopper on gas, which allows you to go only with 30 miles. This
Accelerated
is
brain.
how
Yeah, yeah.
people- yeah,
Well,
so
and I'll flip it around another way because obviously it's one of those things where, um, again, saboteur sort of concept. But one of the other myths that comes out in society is the concept of, I'll say competition. You need to be the top, you need to be the best, you need to be da, 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 da. There's this drive to get to be a certain thing, and sporting analogies are great for this. There's a lot of analogies that compare business to sport. There is no winner, there is no second, only first loser, all that kind of thing.
mm,
That means if there's only one person that can be number one. If everybody beneath number one is so distraught that they're not number one, they're not going to appreciate the fact they're number two or number three. And then there's a good chance they won't even bother starting because they're scared they're not going to make number one. The truth is, we don't need to be number one. If we're good and we're enjoying it and we're happy and everyone else around us is happy, we don't need to be the best of the best of the best. We're actually okay with doing pretty damn good. But people don't even strive for pretty damn good because they're worried they're not going to become number one.
mhm. Yes, I totally agree because there is no good or bad. There
No,
is no good or bad. There is always one level up and one level down. there is unlimited number of good and bad. So it is, everything is just in comparison, and you don't need to compare yourself with anybody. I think that the biggest thing that people should do is to understand who they are,
Absolutely.
because everyone is so unique and given unique talents and gifts, and everyone is here for the mission. And if you just think about yourself from that perspective, that you are unique, you are genius, you are given only things that only you can do, how much you will feel valuable. Will you want to compare yourself with somebody, knowing that those people have their gifts as well, but there is nothing to compare, and everybody has at their, like, depending of level of their awareness, they can be happy and they can develop those gifts and talents which they are given, not comparing themselves with other people and doing things which other people do and thinking that it will make you happy. You will be happy only when you understand who you are, what talents and gifts you have, and
Mm,
you can do
absolutely.
differently, and how you can create things which will make other things obsolete. It is not about just creating the same and the same. If you build, you just think like you're given something that you can create something that never existed before. And when you start from that perspective, that will get you really excitement, and this is how you will be inspired every day, because you know that you are here for some certain reason, like, and you are like nobody before and in future nobody will be like you, and you are here to really realize your potential which is given to you. And this is why you study yourself, and then you understand what is your strength, what is your weaknesses, so you don't go to do what is weaknesses, and you focus totally on what is your strength.
Absolutely. I often use an example of top trumps. I don't know whether you're familiar with top trumps. I think in America they have baseball cards, but for those that don't know, it's a kids game, and you get a pack of cards with different images on, and each of those things have lots of categories. So I had a dinosaur one when I was a kid. I used to all kids love dinosaurs. I had a dinosaur top trump. So you get your pack each, and I might pick up T-Rex. And when the category of strength and height and viciousness and things like that, he'd have a very high score. Someone else might have Brontosaurus or a Batasaurus or something like that, and their length would be they would. So you'd pick a card up and I'm going to go with length because and that's like 200 meters. Aha, I win, and whoever wins takes the other card and you play away. And I hope that makes sense. And there is no one card that can beat all the others, and there's no one card that's always going to lose. T-Rex is always going to dominate quite a few of things, but it can always lose out to other things. What we tend to do as humans is look at somebody else's number 10 strong thing and compare it to one of our lower scores and say, I'm not as good as them because they can do that. But what they're not doing is looking where we are eights, nines, and tens and compare it to their lower one. We don't compare on a fair basis, and there is always someone we can. There is no one person that is always going to beat us. So, in a nutshell, what I say is, if you are going to take on a T-Rex, challenge him to an arm wrestle.
Yeah, so
That's how
true.
you can win.
So true. Know yourself, study yourself, and know what is your strength, and develop those strengths.
Absolutely.
When you build business, look for people who are strong in what you're weak, so you don't think
You bring
about
them in.
doing that what doesn't bring you joy and fulfillment. You focus on what you're strong, and those people also will be happy to work with you, because you will not ask them to do something that they are not strong at. And everyone, when they focus on their genius, this is how the team become creative, productive, and this is how the company will achieve big goals and dreams.
Absolutely. And yeah, knowing how you work, knowing how you tick, knowing your personality profiles, whichever model you prefer to use, but and communicate. Yeah. And yeah, as you say, teams all built up with a range. And if everybody's working to their best, doing their best thing, then sky's the limit.
Yes, unfortunately, nobody teaches people to study themselves. Yes,
Uh,
there is so much information which people, like children go to school and they everything what school does, just putting them to know more, putting them information, but nobody teaches implement things which we learn, right? And that is how people continue just looking for more information. They go for trainings, they think that they have to do something more, but not many people really sit and put day time in the day to study themselves, to really ask them, how do I feel? Like, what really makes me happy? Is this really thing which I want to do? And people live with the sense that they have like 5,000 years agreement here, and they don't realize it. that time is just so short.
Mm,
If you don't do today, if you don't understand yourself, what makes you happy, in 10 years from now you will be sitting in the same place.
mm.
Nothing will change. So
And
when you're going to leave,
and again, this goes back to what we were saying about there is no one prescribed way of going forward. There is a prescribed process, which is try lots of things. But if you're studying yourself, know yourself, and understand what works for you, then you can actually, yeah, it's not say do this, do that, but if you try this, try that, and see what works and what doesn't work for you and in your business, then you can create the thing which is unique to you, which is special to you. So again, no one method other than know thyself.
there is no method. The only one method which is true is which come through you.
Yeah,
Yes.
know
Only
thyself.
nobody can tell you what is good for you, but when you understand how to live based not only of five senses, this is what I think is the biggest thing. Like, if I would like to share today, understanding that, yeah, we are conditioned to live through five senses, that what we see, what we hear, what we smell, taste, touch, right? These five senses. And these five senses are given to us because we live in this physical world. We are in physical body, but we are not our body. We are not our body. We have mind, and mind is not brain. It is like you have your mind, you have intellect. Yes, you have ability to think, generate ideas, and it is not your brain. So understanding that you have high mental faculties and living from high mental faculties will give you results which you don't have now, because these results which you have now, you have them because you made your decision just based on what you see or what you know from the past. But when
Hmm.
you start using high mental faculties such as imagination, intuition, you can start create new things, because there is a connection between what you think, it will cause you to feel, what you feel, it will cause you to act, and what you do, it will cause you results. So if you think only what you see now or based on the past, you will feel the same, you will act the same, and you will do the same results. And this is why people live in this just going round and round. But if you start understanding that your brain is just part of physical body, but you have your mind, which is other high mental faculties, and start living from that place, from your intuition, from your will, from your perception, from your imagination, this is only how you can create new reality. And that when you start connecting to that other frequencies in your imagination, and also believe in yourself, have faith that you are not just physical thing, but there are other laws. When you start thinking different according to the physical laws, your brain will connect to different channel, like in the radio, right? Like when we are listening AM, if we on AM, we will just listen in AM. If we want listen FM, we have to change the frequency. So this is exactly what is happening when we change the frequency and start thinking different. This is how everything start different. So we never can know what will be there if we are here. We
Exactly.
have to change from within.
And
Mhm.
again, that change isn't necessarily quick. Some bits can be quick, but some things take some work and some effort because we have to unlearn what we've already learned to pick up to step into the new thing. So, for example, and this is an exercise I get to do with people sometimes, we know about the saboteurs, the voices in the head. We want to work on intuition and the gut feel. How can we tell the difference between what is our intuition and the voices in our head. And we can only do that by practice and exercising the muscle and working out what the difference is. Because if we've not learned that, if we've not looked at it or thought about it, we can't actually tell the difference between the saboteur and the intuition. It takes practice to actually tell the difference.
Yes, definitely. Many people even don't hear intuition anymore because they suppress it so many times that it doesn't speak at all.
Sure.
Yeah, so because there's so much in head and logic, because again, we have been conditioned from days we went to school to think logically, to know how things will happen, to plan, and this is how people just cut all the possibilities outside of what they don't know.
Yeah.
So when we start tapping into our like those mental faculties and start giving space to intuition, you can always hear that voice. But that voice
Yes.
is so tiny, it just tells you something, and then usually you say, "No, I will go what my logic tells," right? And then you do, and then you regret always. So when you just start practicing doing, what if I do this time different? Like my intuition tell me, what if I really listen and see? And when you start doing as your intuition, you will see how you win every time, because intuition is like a voice from the future who knows, like from your future self, who knows what is good for you. But because we have been conditioned so much to be in logic in our head and those saboteurs which all are in our left brain, that is why we just ignore. But
Yeah.
when we start listening to it, we can see, and more we listen, then we become more attentive
Dude.
because it is
Yeah.
intention.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I think we should record more episodes. Yeah, it is a lot. Like this, we could speak for hours. Yes, so yeah, so I think next episode we will speak more about success. Yes, what success is for you, and what success is. I think it will be also a very interesting topic. So before we wrap up this episode, what I would like you to share maybe something that really helped you, maybe one advice on the top of what we discussed, like a summary. What you really think people can take away, like is the most important for you from this conversation.
Um, so one thing is, um, don't automatically believe anything. Anything, if you work on the basis that there are no truths, and challenge every possible thing out the way you think, the way you behave, whatever, it doesn't mean it's wrong, but it's shifting away from I have to I choose to. Exactly as you said, understanding yourself, what works for you, what you enjoy, what you're good at, and really championing and celebrating what you're good at. And it doesn't, and not worrying about whether it's the best or anything like that, but just what you're good at and what you enjoy doing will take you a long way. And thirdly, whatever it is you're trying to do, don't try and do everything by yourself. Whatever it is an aspect of business or as of self-learning, there are people out there that can help you, because it's so difficult for us to see ourselves in the context. We need somebody else outside just to look at things and just sometimes just point a couple of things out. So yeah, don't accept everything you've said. Get to understand yourself as much as possible, and yeah, get other people to help you do that.
Yes, thank you so much, Andrew. It was my pleasure to have this discussion with you, and
Thank
I'm
you for having me
looking
on.
forward to see you again on our
Lovely.
next episode.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Elena.
You're welcome.